Check one, two.
Got you.
Yeah. Chad
Uh,
Smith, welcome back to the show. May 2nd, The Grit,
Thank you so
2025.
much. I got to jump at 9:30 for 10 minutes to get kid on a French lesson, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. Just let me know when.
Yep.
All right, Chad Smith, welcome back to the show. It is May 2nd, 2025.
What did you do to celebrate May Day yesterday, David Lee Scales? Did you dance around the maypole?
Did not even know it was a holiday yesterday. Wouldn't know how to
Uh,
celebrate even if I did.
okay, well, here we go. You ready? I had a discussion about May Day yesterday, and you know what kind of discussions are real good? Are
Tell me.
discussions that don't devolve into basically the kind of discussions we have. We've gotten worse at checking sources, at Googling things while we're talking about them. But yesterday I had a full discussion on kind of what May Day was as a holiday. We're teaching the kids, and me and Buddy taught them what May Day was completely off the top of our heads based on sort of scant understanding of what it probably actually is. But it was good. Now we planted that in their heads.
But did you ultimately discover and research what it is?
No, that's what
Oh,
I'm
you
saying.
still
We
don't
just
know.
we
I
we
thought
just
you
taught
in the
them.
banter you didn't, but then by the end you probably did.
No, I think we figured it out in the banter. So I think May Day is one of those witchy holidays that comes from like uh especially Scandinavia places, like places where the long dark winter is officially over, and then you do witchy stuff. You sacrifice whatever. Like it's super witchy. And then it kind of got anesthetized over time, and now is nobody really celebrates it anymore. But I feel witchy origins. And then it's also International Workers' Day was a big Soviet Union thing. I knew that.
Is May Day what they were celebrating in
Yes.
midsummer?
Thinks yes, exactly. I think that's what it is, which wouldn't be May Day because I think that was midsummer, right? Midsummer.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think it's all very similar to that. I think that's our May Day.
So May Day, also known as International Workers' Day or Labor Day, is a public holiday observed on May 1st. It is celebrated in many countries around the world, including the United States, Canada, and countries in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Commemorates the struggles and gains of workers and the labor movement. In some countries, it's the day for labor protests, rallies, while others, it's just a festive occasion celebrating spring and the beginning of warmer winter.
Go back, go down, find the origins, find the witchy origins of May Day,
Okay.
and not as
May
it
Day.
relates to labor.
Okay, this is now Wikipedia. That was AI. This is Wikipedia. May Day is a European festival of ancient origins, marking the beginning of summer.
Witchy. Told you.
Usually, so it midsummer. Uh, it's marking the beginning of summer, so it's celebrated on May 1st.
Told you. Ancient European origins equal witchy stuff.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Traditions may include gathering green branches and wildflowers,
All witchy.
which are used to decorate buildings and made into wreaths,
Witchy.
crowning a May queen, sometimes
Witchy.
with a male companion decked in greenery, setting up a May pole, a May bush. Bonfires are also a part of the festival.
All of this is so witchy. I think the maypole is like something that's. Did you watch Midsummer?
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
How scary is Midsummer?
So scary.
Yeah.
So, they did a phenom they picked the right holiday, like to make them because it seems so innocuous
Yeah.
but that's what any if there is nefarious intentions with anybody, whether it's a predator, kidnapper, or whatever, or just this cult, you want to set it up to look as benign as possible, right? So
And here,
flowers, greenery, all that stuff.
this is why I think May Day, witchy May Day, is way scarier than Halloween. Is
Way
because
scary.
Halloween comes straight at you, right? Like you're prepared, you're ready for ghouls and ghosts and goblins and all of it. May Day comes around even witchier, like way witchier, under the guise of garlands and bonfires.
Man, that is a great point. Never considered this.
Nope, it's scary. I mean, I think May Day is the scariest holiday, and I think we should. I did it yesterday with my charges. Uh, we should make May Day scary again.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for our kids,
M-
like,
m-
but real
make your
subtly.
make your kids watch Midsummer.
Yeah.
Start them on that, then move on to Hereditary.
Perfect.
Uh, um, yeah, that movie is a slow burn.
Yep.
First time I watched it was in a theater and liked it, totally appreciated it for what it was. but I felt like maybe I was a little bored. I've
Yeah.
since rewatched it, wasn't bored for 1 second. I was like wrapped the entire time.
They build the like witchy terror so well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible film.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you celebrate May Day then?
Didn't, but was up in downtown Los Angeles where there was a, I think, protest parade clogging up the works. So, as
Fun.
per
Got
Wikipedia, yeah,
gotta love LA.
yeah.
Um, it makes me never want to celebrate it now. I don't want to invite this in.
You don't leave the labor stuff aside. People can go do their labor protesty thing on the corner. I think we need to do like daisy chains and flower garlands and all the things that look like, oh, it's just little girls in white dresses playing in a field until you realize they're all going to get sacrificed.
That's my thing is I don't want to invite this in. I will not celebrate because you're just opening the door to
It's really true.
potential, yeah.
I guess as a culture, we did shut this door and it's best, it got shut for a reason and it's best to leave shut.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, if you love this content and you want more, go over to Patreon. Patreon extra fine grit. 200, what's the finest grit? 440?
Use something like that.
Okay.
440. I mean, I wonder what grit, just a piece of printer paper would be considered.
Hmm. So fine.
Yeah, it's got to be something like,
Infinite grit.
yeah, infinite grit.
Infinite grit, so gritty you can't even feel the grit. That's what we're doing over on Patreon. So come join us. New bonus shows every week, and a little bit more, uh, little more. What would you say? Off the
Uh,
rails?
more off the rails. Yeah, I
More
mean,
off the rails.
if it's not off the rails enough, I feel that the we try to keep, you try to keep particularly sort of the bumpers on this show where it is surf in its DNA, right? I think the grit, I mean the more grit, extra fine grit, doesn't have the same bumpers.
Um, you can hear me imitating somebody from Love on the Spectrum over on over on the bonus show, which I'm not allowed to do on this show. Basically, is what we are talking about. So go get that. Also, very importantly, live shows June 11th. I'm sorry, 12th and 13th, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and then Charleston, South Carolina. Come join us live on the East Coast.
Buy tickets and can't wait to see you. Honestly, cannot wait to be on the East Coast myself.
Me neither. Tickets are 25 bucks. It'll be a 2 or 3 hour event. And the one in Charleston is at the Head High Studios. The one in Jacksonville Beach is at the Blue Jay Listening Room. Go to surfsplendorpodcast.com. I have links to those ticket sale sites, and we just cannot wait to see you.
Very true.
Um, okay, let's get straight into the show. I mean, look, I guess it's too late for that. We've already dilly-dallied, but I've got a listener call from last week. Um, from somebody whose voice you love to hear. This is in reference to a getting barreled conversation last week.
Mm.
Barrel or turn.
David and Chaz, what is happening? Britt Merrick here, your friend, in the shaping room listening as I always do. And I just heard, David, your incredible description of a barrel as being akin to being in the mother's womb. That was epic. So here's an assignment for you guys. How big does a barrel need to be for a full-grown man to recapture that ancient proportion of a baby in a womb to the man in the barrel? Are we talking your average barrel? Or are we talking Baron Mamiya's pens at the Pipe Pro the last couple of years? How big does a barrel have to be for you to be relatively in the same watery, womby space that you were as a baby? If anybody could solve this equation, it's you guys. All right, see you, bye.
Britt Merrick, Channel Islands Surfboards, really coming with the big questions.
Love Britt Merrick. Hate what Britt Merrick stands for. That's on your shirt right there, i.e. the Grateful Dead still. But love Britt Merrick. But here we go. And Britt's not going to want to hear this. Britt is not going to want to hear this. The baby in the womb is not roof dragging his hand. The baby in the womb is not standing arch-backed, hands behind back. The baby in the womb is packed in there. And I don't want to say it, but I feel Kelly Slater invented the perfect womb at his Lemoore Surf Ranch facility, where you have to crouch into the tiniest little ball in order to get in there. And then you get to pop out and stretch your limbs.
That is a test tube situation going on over there. This, what I'm afraid maybe I miscommunicated last week in the metaphor because the womb is the ocean. The womb isn't the barrel itself. So
What's the barrel?
the birth canal.
Okay, but I mean,
So it's kind of, I understand the analogy that that's a logical one to think, right? Like the
you're tight.
baby, yeah, of course. Mother and child in
You're
that scenario,
squeezed.
it's snug, it's
Yeah,
tight. That's actually what the baby likes to feel, of course, is
sure.
warmth and love, right? But the barrel is the birth canal. So, and it's actually kind of an inverse relationship now, where you're right, the baby does want that, but we're not babies anymore. We have
Okay.
this vestige of the past, but entering Mother Nature, the ocean is the womb, and you're warm there and you're comfortable there. You're completely surrounded. Go ahead.
I like it. I like it. We're not babies anymore.
We're
Okay.
not babies anymore.
We're not baby. So Kelly made a baby. Kelly tried to recreate actual baby stuff, which he did. Surf Ranch is for babies.
Completely.
Okay.
You're no longer in the womb. You're in the
Yeah.
middle of Lemoore. You're in a desert. It's a facsimile of, but it's not the same thing, you
This
know?
makes it even worse. This makes Surf Ranch
Exactly.
an even bigger stain.
It is a bigger stain because I'd rather just go in the ocean and play than I would get a barrel in Lemoore because I want to be back in the womb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to carry on with the metaphor, you are snug in the once you're in the ocean, you're already in that tight thing that you're talking about. You're already enveloped in it, right?
Yes.
But now you're trying to find your way out. And that's what the search for the barrel is. And so the inverse kind of thing is um, as we've gotten older, if you want to analyze, if you want to learn about anything, you want a perspective on it. And so the more size that you have in this birth canal and barrel, the better it is. You have more time to look around. You have more time, more things to survey. If you're just sitting in a 3 foot barrel crouched down, you're really only looking out at the exit. There's nothing else that for you to glean. But if you're Baron Mamiya standing in the 10 point ride at back door pipe, you could take all the time in the world. Time slows down. I've even heard people talk about the sounds that a barrel makes. I've never been in a big enough barrel to experience that. But as I envision it, it sounds like the birth canal or what you would hear in the womb itself, right?
I really like what you're saying, but I do feel there is a limit. I feel that getting barreled at Jaws uh is weird then. Now you're getting shot out of a giant's birth canal, which nobody wants that, right? You're like
Everybody wants that.
to get shot out of a giant's birth canal.
Well, because mom doesn't want to tear or rip. So the bigger the canal, the better for mom. The bigger the canal, better for me. I don't want a misshapen head. And I
I
would
hear you,
also argue the more force out, win-win for everybody. Get me
but
out of that.
I'm gonna say it gets too big. I'm gonna say that the I suppose Britt, in all of his infinite knowledge and wisdom, hit the nail on the head with the Baron Mamiya 10. Like a stand-up barrel at Pipeline, I think is ideal, is perfect, or backdoor, right? That size. I think going bigger than that, now you're getting weird. You're doing weird stuff. You're a little bit Mayday-ish. Like standing, I don't think when you're standing in a gaping barrel at Mavericks, you're looking around. I think it's the same thing as looking out. You're just trying to get out of that thing, right?
You're right. It could be so vast, the space around you, that you actually can't see the walls anymore.
Yeah, you're done. At that point, it's the same or a. So we're talking about a bell curve here. So on one end of this bell curve, we have the tiny little barrel that you're crammed into, just staring out. You can't even turn your head to get around. On the other end of that bell curve, we have giant gaping jaws or mavericks or a barrel so big that you can't enjoy and or look around either. In the middle, you have your cloud breaks. Like at the top of your bell curve, you have your cloud breaks, your pipelines, your like you know, stand up barrel.
So pipe reigns supreme again.
Yeah. I mean, pipe
Pipe
is right at the peak of that bell, I feel.
pipe trumps all for a good reason.
Yeah. Means the
So
birth canal.
yeah, so I guess I'm gonna agree with you. I thought that the bigger was better, but now I see your rationale.
Because it's like, and I
Well,
feel that when Baron is in there, right? Or when a Koa Smith or the people that we watch get deeply barreled at waves like pipeline and or pipeline itself, uh looking around through their perspective, they are looking around, right? They're looking this way,
seen him
that
look
way,
I've seen
out.
him look backwards even.
Yeah, totally,
Mason
totally.
Ho.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah.
So the other detail that I think supports your theory of bigger isn't better is at that point you're riding a 10-foot board and you're just hanging on for the ride.
Yeah,
Whereas what Baron is doing is also applying some technique and making his own adjustments. So now it's almost a reciprocal relationship between him and birth canal.
because he's an adult and the adult has the facility and the mind and the body to do things. The adult's not a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we're all chasing.
Unless you go to Lemoore, and then you need to have uh a oh, what's it called? What are they called? A midwife in the form of Ramana von Bastolear, who, while you're all tucked in there, jammed in there, he's got to pull you right out.
So if the barrel is so big that it can fit a maypole, no good.
No
If the
good.
barrel is so small you need a midwife to get you out of it, also no good. Britt Merrick, this narrows it down. To answer your question, how big? 4 foot is too small, 15 foot is too big.
So
Let's
there you
land
go.
on 8 to 12.
8 to 12, Britt.
And
And not a
this
surfline 8 to 12, a legit 8 to 12.
legit 8 to 12. And I would like to also, the reason why I'm not pinning down an exact number is because human beings are different shapes and sizes.
That's
So
true.
8 foot if you are Lilliputian, 12 foot if you happen to be a giant.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Britt, 12 foot for you.
Yeah.
You better start sacking up, dude.
Yeah, Britt.
Sacking up is a real don't say gay, actually, now that I just
It,
said
it,
let's do it. Sacking up.
yeah.
I don't even know why I said it. I don't say that word. I've never that phrase. I never ever say it.
When
I
was the
don't
last time
know.
you said sack up? Hey,
When I was in high school.
are you gonna use sack up to Austin? Hey, Austin, sack up.
We will decide right now. Will I
What
say
is
that to him?
okay, let's see here. What do I say uh when young daughter, like I'm a real rub dirt in it as a dad, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
to a degree that's probably not very healthy. Like
Okay.
I'll make her get up, walk. If I see she's walking fine, I'm like, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the medical. But what do I say to her? I say, she doesn't need me to say it anymore because she just is. She's like got that tough thing. I'll just say, hey, rub dirt in it. But so I can't say sack up to a girl, obviously, but to a dude, I think it's important.
What is it even? What is the metaphor?
I mean, it would be something to do with the reference to your balls being associated with toughness, right?
Bigger. I think bigger is better in that scenario or in the world of that metaphor. It's like you need more ball sack.
Yeah.
Sack up.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That's probably what it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's a real weird one.
I'm going, I think I'm gonna not, I'm declining it. I think we have to eradicate it.
Sack up.
It's too gross.
It's pretty gross. It's true. And I will say I agree with you. It's both too gross and there is good things to say as alternatives already, like better things to say to toughen up.
Even just toughen up is good.
Drink a cup of concrete.
Yeah.
Love that one. Grow a spine. is
Yeah.
a good one. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of already better ones. I agree with you. It's getting canceled or canned, not because though it's overt grossness. That doesn't help it. It's getting canned because there's better things to say. This is part of our whole don't say gay segment. Has to be if there's no replacement, it stays, right? There's a ton better replacements.
Totally agree.
Gone.
Yeah. Balls. Nobody likes balls anyways. You know what I
No,
mean? Like
get
you don't need to bring it into conversation.
no, definitely not. Goodbye. So Britt Merrick, drink a cup of concrete.
And I apologize for saying that to you, Britt. Take it back instantly. Okay, but we're still on barrels. Barrel stock dropping is the email that came in, also in reference to last week's conversation. Hey, Chaz and David, I think that the blame for the lessened interest in barrels versus turns lies squarely on the shoulders of Kelly Slater's wave pool. That barrel section is entirely predictable, and the surfers on tour rarely fall when they're in it. It has turned into what was once a miracle of Mother Nature into a boring and perfunctory part of a wave where we wait too long for the theoretical explosive closing maneuver. The wave, for all its perfection, is boring and perfunctory in a contest format as well. I wonder, is this what sex with robots feels like? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, I mean that analogy has been made time and time again, and or going to a brothel and or whatever, right? When you strip the hunt or the chase or the effort or the accomplishment out of the act, then of course that's what you end up with is something that is silly. And I would argue or agree with him, not just Surf Ranch, right? I would argue that the making the barrel artificial has lowered its stock. The fact that anyone now, any single person on earth, if you want to, you can go get barreled, right?
Yeah,
I don't think you could say that about any single person on earth in the ocean. Like it would take, I mean, and by
totally.
if you want to, you can get barreled. I mean, you could, if you want to, you get barreled today, right? You can book a trip to Waco, Lemoore, any one of the wave gardens, any like all of
Mhm.
this artificial barrel. Now you just can go do it. You don't have to hunt it.
Totally agree. Um, this also relates to, well, actually, I'm going to save it. I want to talk to you about vloggers.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll get to that in 1 second. Let me finish Chris's email real quick because he just signed off by saying the Noah who wrote in about changing his name, tell him A, cry me a river, and B, count his blessings. He has a damn fine name. Keep work, Chris. That was, of course, about Noah Ebsworthy, which we will get to later in the show as well.
Finest name. That name has aged like fine bourbon since the we talked about it last.
Agreed. And a consensus is in. I've gotten a
Yeah.
bunch of messages from people. They all love Ebsworthy. So the problem with vlogging is what this segment is called. Um, do you watch Sasha Jane Lowerson's vlog?
No, I do not.
Are you aware that one exists?
I was not aware.
Okay.
Shockingly, I am shocked that Derek Riley is not watching.
He is. He posted about it. It's on Beach Grit, believe it or not. Um, by the way, remember you told me you like it when your AG1 has the red in it?
Yes.
I don't think the camera's picking it up, but there is red in this one. A
It is
streak of
such
red.
like it is such a little treaty Easter egg that AG1 provides of this uniformly green powder. Green. I've never once seen even the slightest other color than green in the powder.
No.
Super berries.
And then you add water and it morphs.
Yeah, into a super berry.
Yeah. The sum is
Incredible.
greater than the total of its parts.
Yep.
Throw some ice cubes in there too to help break up any clumps. Just FYI pro tip. Drinkag1.com/surf.
You know how I drink my ag1.com/surf?
Mm.
I drink it in a mason jar. One of that size one, the whatever, the cup, 2 cup, maybe the
Okay.
one must be 2 cup, 3 cup. I don't know how big it is. I have a nice little plastic lid. Give it a good shake. There's something about drinkag1.com/surf out of glass that is much more satisfying than out of plastic.
Well, this new shaker with the metal heavy lid makes it feel a little bit closer to that
Okay.
experience.
Okay.
Maybe they got that note or maybe you sent them that note and they listened. Um, so the problem with vlogging, there's another trend that's happening right now on YouTube with surfing, which is people documenting their experience of learning how to surf. Have you
Nobody
seen
eats that.
these?
No, I don't want to see those.
So I'm apprehensive to even name the content creators because
Are they known notables? Or are they just individuals who are on their learning journey and hey, come along, let's watch.
they're individuals who are now known notables because they have, tens of thousands and I think in some cases 100,000 followers.
But you don't want to name them because you don't want to point people their way, or because you don't want them to have hurt feelings that we are sitting and making fun of their life's work.
Yeah, I don't want them to have hurt feelings because it's not about any one of them individually. And that's kind of the point that I'm getting at, which is like I was having a conversation with somebody about it recently, and they were saying, you know, this is great, basically. Like, you know, who are you to begrudge their journey into
Yes.
surfing? Like, yours was a certain way, and you held certain things sacred, and theirs now it's a different time, and things are different. And so I was having a hard time defending my stance or why I don't like it because I just sound like an old man complaining about the millennials doing things the millennial way, you know? Go
No.
ahead. Do you have go ahead. Do you want to jump in?
I mean, I'm just getting angry. I'm getting angry even
Okay,
sitting
go.
here hearing about it.
Well, remember we talked about it a year ago with the kid who tried to surf pipeline and he documented
Yes.
that and he didn't know what he was doing. One of these content creators is a female and that's her goal as well. So she's like going out to the wave pool in Palm Springs and learning there and like trying to improve, but all with the goal of getting to pipeline. And then even went and surfed pipe on a small day and got a wave or two. So I don't know if she counted that as a success or not, or if that was just kind of like a precursor to get comfortable and she's aiming for a bigger day. But we have already, I mean, you've already witnessed it in a different version when we discussed it last year.
Is nothing sacred, is what I would ask the millennial. Like, do we need to see how the sausage is made every single time? I get that you guys love your YouTube tutorials, right? You, as a generation, enjoy seeing how sausage is made. I think the pendulum is going to swing back to no, there's a way and a nobility to living that when you show everything, you lose that nobility, right? You can't have both. I see all things, I see every way this thing is made. And at the end, I appreciate its nobility. No, the thing is noble because there's a mystery to it, because there is a sacredness to it, because there is a respect for it and of it. All of this is lost in this. Let me bring you along on my journey. Like, and I do believe the pendulum will swing. I think people are going to get sick of seeing every last uh, bit of a journey because they're not going to ever be able to appreciate the end result. Like, okay, let's tour the hot dog factory and you see the, butts and lips and whatever goes into a hot dog. And now let's eat this delicious hot dog at the end. You can never appreciate it quite the same way, right?
Definitely not with that.
Yeah.
Um,
So don't
you don't
show
want
me
to know
that.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. I'm not sure. I think that there will always be an appetite for the journey. Like people like watching that journey. My concern is more for the creator of the content itself, where you're right. There is something sacred about surfing and the surf experience for the reasons I mentioned earlier
There's
about the
something,
womb.
yeah, private.
Yeah. And so that was how I was raised, and that was the ethos of the culture at the time that I discovered surfing. And so there was a lot of value in humility, basically. Don't brag. The moment that you try to kind of brag or think that you did something good, go ahead and watch the video footage. It
Yeah.
was not good,
Yeah.
So just shut up and keep showing up and keep trying. And eventually you'll get a set wave and eventually you'll get better at it and that sort of thing. So this kind of current version and ethos is so in stark contrast to it. And my thought is you're only eroding your own experience and appreciation of the experience. And it's, to be crude, the same reason I would not want to do sex work for a living. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, here's this special sacred thing, and I don't want to
I'm going to turn
sully
it
it.
into my job.
Exactly. Now my
Yeah.
mortgage is dependent upon it.
Yeah.
So I'm just better show up and get the job done. Like that takes all the joy away. And it like there's a million ways to make a living. There's a lot of ways to make content if that's what you're into. This one thing that does have this sacredness to it because of the mother or mother nature kind of spiritual connection, but also because of the legacy of it and all of the people, the way they did it before. Like it's just such a hard turn right that it's a slap in the face almost to the sacredness of it. That's
Yeah,
how I
I mean,
felt about it.
yeah, and again, I do believe the pendulum. I mean, my kid, you know, nine, if left to her own devices, so much of it is watching kind of tutorial stuff, right? Or like oddly, like it's tutorial as entertainment. I mean, she will devour hours of what's in my dance bag footage, right? Which is ballerinas just going through their bag, what's in their dance bag. Every one of these ballerinas has basically the exact same thing in their dance bags. Like, you need what? Well, here's my point shoes, and here's my flat shoes, and it's all the same stuff. But she loves that, right? And so I guess there is for this generation a love of sausage, watching sausage get made.
There
Uh,
is. I think
yeah.
that is a thing that like is it's not just this generation. It's what was the dude who did California Gold, that PBS show?
Oh, not Rick Steves. No,
No,
what's
not Rick Steves.
uh,
I'll look it up.
yeah,
He was classic, but that's what that show was. He would show up
yeah,
to the sausage factory, you know?
and there is. And I don't think that's all bad and that nobody should do that, right? I just think the proliferation of it now that a lot of people are doing it, but you should be good at it. There should be, I guess, if you're going to show how sausage gets made, then be a quality storyteller in that journey, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not watching these I'm learning to surf vlogs, but I can't imagine very many of them are entertaining or
Well, I
that the
think that so that's the key is any of them who have success, their only asset is that there might be a decent storyteller
okay.
because the surfing is terrible.
Yeah.
And that was my ultimate takeaway after I was having this discussion and not able to justify my own arguments, really. And even the sacredness argument, I think that's pretty salient. But even still, beyond that, what I realized was good surfing trumps all. The surfing is crap. And the Sasha Jane Lowerson one, same thing. It's like her recent video was her going to surf the wave pool. I don't know which one, Melbourne or something. But then you look at the clips and you're like, terrible surfing. I'm
Yeah.
out. And
Okay.
if it's Noah or if it's Nathan Florence on the other hand, all in. I don't even care that you're doing the selfie thing and showing me the journey because the surfing's killer.
Okay, you've changed my mind. I came in. It's funny. This one, there's a very clear automatic thought that you're going to have, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
everyone probably has. As you were speaking about it, I had already made up my mind that this is an abomination, that this should not happen, that the people who are doing it are turkeys, and anybody who's watching it is sinning. Uh, but coming through, I guess different day. People like to do that. And it's either the storytelling is good or the surfing is good. And either way, you either care or don't.
yeah.
But good surfing
But
trumps all.
it's good surfing trumps all.
I mean, that's ain't that how we've proven that time and time again, though.
Totally.
Good
So
surfing
I
and good dancing.
exactly, yeah. So that's why I didn't want to mention anybody by name because, you know, what I'm not offended. I thought I was offended by the act they were doing. It has nothing to do with that. It's that
They surf bad.
the surfing isn't good.
Yeah.
And so I'm not interested. And there's no amount of good storytelling that'll engage me in somebody who's not good at surfing because there's other versions of storytelling that I'd prefer to watch.
You're exactly right. Like I'm thinking back again, the analogy of the what's in my dance bag. Every one of those ballerinas is a notable ballerina. If it was just some rando in a studio, there'd be zero interest. I think my daughter would have zero interest in watching what's in their dance bag. She wants to see what's in the best of the best, like good dancing. Again,
Yeah.
trumps whatever.
But for a non-surfer, that can still be interesting to watch somebody learn how to surf because they don't know how to assess good surfing versus bad, you know?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
So they could
if
have
the story
100,000 followers on Instagram not knowing how to surf because all those viewers aren't
don't know how to
surfers.
surf,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, sweet. Who
I think
knew?
we solved it. I don't have to feel so bad about disliking those things anymore.
But I also don't have to really dislike them anymore.
Yeah, true.
Like, I think I don't have to be a curmudgeon about them. I don't have to say, oh, those are the damn kids and they're YouTubers and they're Insta faces. Like, no, I can say, hey, that's have at it.
Exactly. We're just elitists when it comes to surfing.
Yeah, I just don't want to watch your crappy surfing.
um, Kook and Curren coming back this week with two submissions.
Wow. How's this?
Two submissions for you. Uh, DLS saw Jerry Lopez wearing goggles paddling out to G-Land in the endless summer too. See the photo below. Uh, could it be a Kook and Curren? I was wondering whether this was previously discussed. I can't quite remember, but realizing that they are as rare as hen's teeth, so I wanted to share. Thanks for all the efforts, Dan.
I would need one more example. That's the problem with this one. It seems like it is a thing Jerry Lopez did or does. So this could be Jerry Lopez or Jerry Lopez and Kook. Because I've
So
never seen this again.
I I've I don't think I've ever seen a kook even do it, but I can imagine a kook doing it.
Uh, my daughter used to, and she was a kook.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she was a full learner. She would love to paddle out with goggles
Um,
when she was like very first starting. I mean, is she just like to swim with goggles? And so why I'm going to surf with
right.
goggles.
Okay, so we have that on one end of the spectrum. We know for certain there's no intermediate surfer doing
No,
this. So that checks.
I'm gonna say you need a sample like Jerry Lopez and some other notable surfer would have to do it. I think
Okay.
sample of one is too small for the Curren.
So there was an ad in 2002-ish, which was Kalani Robb, sponsored by Oakley, in a barrel, wearing the Oakley goggles that they were marketing at the time.
But those weren't goggles, those were glasses.
Mm,
Uh, and I feel that people across the spectrum, they clearly didn't sell. I don't think they're
no,
for sale anymore. What were there was another one too that would always advertise in the magazines, like water something.
I don't
But
remember.
I feel that people experimented with that across the surfing spectrum and said this doesn't work, right? Like I think clearly some intermediates paddled out with those Oakleys at some point and thought, oh, never again, right?
Yeah.
Which ain't the same as the goggles.
No, and Jerry, if I remember correctly in the Endless Summer too, it was like tinted. The reason he was doing it was for the glare of the sun
Yeah,
because you're not underwater.
no, no. And I mean, yeah, I'm going to say if somebody out there can send more proof of a pro in goggles, not glasses, but goggles,
Okay.
it can be further, it can go deeper into committee.
Okay. So we'll come back to this next week
Yeah.
based on listener feedback.
Yes.
I do believe, even though I haven't seen a kook doing it and your daughter is a sample of one, I do believe other kooks have landed on that conclusion of I'm going to go learn how to surf and I want goggles. So I'm sure that's been done before.
I guarantee, I mean, I just have to think for sure, like tourist in Hawaii doesn't like the
Yeah.
way salt feels in there. It burns my
Yeah.
eyes and
Yeah.
easy solution. I'm going to just put my goggles on.
Exactly. So that we're committed to. We now just need a Curren on the other end of the spectrum to sit alongside Jerry before we cement this.
Exactly.
Got it.
Just
Okay.
one.
Okay. Number two, DLS and Chaz. Whilst recently on a trip down the South Coast to visit my old boy for his 70th birthday, I witnessed something that grabbed my attention. As my brother and I were suiting up for the surf, the guy in the car next to us puts on his wetsuit, waxes his board up, straps his leg rope on for a walk of about 80 or 800 meters, half a mile for you Seppo folk, down to the beach. I racked my brain for a time. I had seen that done in the past, and the only thing that, or I racked my brain to figure out if I had seen that done in the past. And the only thing that came to mind was the WSL, where some competitors will put their leggy on in the locker room and then run down. At this point, I was intrigued to the level of ability of this quirky character. As I walked behind him down the sand, he was also wearing sandals for the walk, which had me thinking, barrel or not. Was he smarter than I am for protecting his feet on the short rock? or short walk? Or is it our responsibility as surfers to try to tough it out and stub our toes and step on every pebble as we sacrifice to the surf god so a set wave might swing our way for me to bog rail or me completely mistime that top turn? We paddle out, and the character in question paddled straight out into breaking 4 or 5 foot waves instead of jumping into the rip, which had us out the back with dry hair. He never made it out back, and we never saw him again. Discuss work. Dan from Cronulla. Both of these submissions come from different Dans, interestingly.
Dan from Canola, thank you so much for this. You took me on the journey with you. First on the I am a big proponent of tough it out with your feet. Though people will see me here at my local from time to time wearing a beat up old pair of tennis shoes with my wetsuit. And I just want people to know that when you see that, it means I have crossed the train tracks. And those train track lava rocks are just too much, even for me. Like too
Yeah,
much. It's just one step too far. But
totally.
otherwise, getting rid of those Howley feet is an essential part of the surfing life, I think. Not having tender little hoofs is important and practical.
Yeah, totally agree. So that's barrel. But the question is, Kook and
Leg
Curren,
rope. Yeah,
wearing your leg rope for an extended walk to the water.
I like it. I need to see. I don't think any intermediate would do this. I'm
See,
trying to
I
think of an
I, I
intermediate that
question
would do
that.
this. I mean, but what intermediate? And let's say, because the locker room analogy is perfect, or the locker room reference is perfect, right? They are in their place of preparation, leg roping up, running to the beach.
Yeah.
So our places of preparation are generally our cars, right?
Yeah.
Can you even imagine putting your leash and or leg rope on at your car before
No.
making the walk down? But I've seen kooks do this.
Yeah. No, I have seen kooks do it and I have seen pros do it. The question here is, do intermediate surfers ever do this?
Okay, so this
I
one will,
personally don't, and I agree with you. Like, I can't even imagine it. In fact, I don't think I walk more than, let's say, 20 feet with it on because I will trip. You're
I
guaranteed to trip. Of course, I lace it through my finger to keep it from tripping me, but even still, the moment I get out of the shallows, it comes off. And I don't put it on until my feet are touching the water.
you're exactly right, and it's not because I want to look cool and or I am cool. You nail on the head. The only reason I'm taking it off because I will guarantee I will trip. It is
Totally.
a self-preservation thing.
So the question now is, have we seen intermediates do it?
Has an intermediate who's way more dexterous than you or I, who never trips on their leash, and he's like, "What? I'm up in my car. I'm getting ready. I might as well just take care of this bit of readiness alongside the rest of it because I know I won't trip." Yeah. Okay. This one goes into committee as well.
Man,
This one goes into a higher level of committee than the goggles. I don't have very much hope for the goggles. Uh, this one needs to go out to the listener, but I do have hope that uh, we will come to conclusion that an intermediate will say, yes, I leggy up in the car park if they're Australian, or I put my leash on in the parking lot if they're American, and then it'll be done. We'll know.
the distance needs to be more than 100 yards.
Distance needs to be more than 100 yards. And I mean, but I'd even say, yeah, because if you're like parked on the sand, if you're in New Smyrna Beach,
Yeah,
and then I could see how. So it can't just be putting it on in the car.
it has to be 100 yards or
Yeah,
more. Um, I feel like in every Taylor Steele movie I watched growing up, there was a clip of somebody running, one of the featured surfers, Justin Poston, running down the beach,
and tripping.
tripping on his leash.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
It
true.
was literally like a trope that had to
Yeah,
be included in every film.
it is so true. Wait, can we press pause real
Yes.
quick so
Yeah,
I can
go
go?
for it.
This will be like 10 minutes max.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It took care of herself, shockingly.
Say again.
She shockingly took care of herself. Our
Oh, good.
kid. Were you a big sleeper inner when you were like growing?
No, no.
I wasn't either. I mean, I think it might be the ballet or something, but she can go till like the other day, a couple days ago, she slept until 11 a.m. Like went to bed normal time, 11 a.m. Like, wow.
Wow.
That's
The only time I feel a need to sleep in is if I know I have to do something that morning.
I mean, even like exact that's so true. Like I'll be up religiously at like 6:30, 6:30, unless I have something to do at 6:30, and then I'll be the alarm will go off and
Milking the clock.
it'll just like, oh, I feel so horrible.
It's what it is specifically is like if I have no obligations that day, I'm excited for the day and I want to get it started.
Yes.
If I know I have to be at work at 8 a.m., I want to soak up every moment in bed before that ultimate doom.
How torturous is it? Like, so on Thursdays, I got to get up at 5:30 a.m., which typically, yeah, if I had nothing to do that day, would be no problem. But I will inevitably wake up like at 4 and look at the clock and just see like hour and a half. And you're not going back to sleep. You know, you're not going back to sleep at that point. You're just going to kind of fake sleep and keep looking at the clock until it's like 2 minutes before, and just feeling that dready gut. Here we go. It's
The
coming down.
worst. The
Yeah.
worst. Um, well, we've got Noah Ebsworthy got back to us.
Yes, he sure
So,
did.
so this is coming off of last week's watches.com/surf splendor tools to live by. Save yourself 15%. And Noah got back and said, I wanted to listen to the newest ep before replying. And what a laugh it was. I didn't expect a compliment from Chaz on my writing and definitely didn't expect the free Patreon links. Thank you both for that immensely. On the actual subject of my email, I suspected you would probably both disagree, but I didn't expect that the conversation might sway my opinion. I
Yes.
haven't completely swung back to keeping Ebsworthy, but I'm definitely sitting precariously on the fence, and there's currently no telling which side I will end up falling on. I realized in my first email that I didn't identify myself as Australian either. Dad's side is mostly English and Scottish with a dash of German, and a cursory Google search backs that up, with the name apparently originating from Devon, England. While there's nothing particularly exciting about that, an interesting tidbit Dad shared was that his grandmother came out to Australia when she was just 16 to start a new life. The idea of leaving everything you know behind well before even turning 18 is fascinating to me. All that is to say that the chance I'm descending from Southern slave owners is nil. But being Aussies, I wouldn't be surprised to find out they were still drunk and racist. I could share plenty more uh, for you to discuss or poke fun at, from dad being my surfing best friend to how equally awful drivers are here in Australia, from that crappy official WSL surfing game that I still play almost daily, if only it's for 5 minutes in the morning bathroom, to the Grateful Deadification of my favorite local band while they tour the States. For now, I'll leave it, and maybe I'll write in again in August with an update on which surname I decide on, and I'll include more if I feel strongly enough about that subject matter. NE for now, possibly forever.
Please do write in once you decide, Noah Ebsworthy. This whole exchange is really up in our, I'm gonna say, top 10 of uh the conversations we've had on the grit in the past. It's a real winner.
Ongoing, yeah, ongoing conversations with listeners. This is in the
Yeah,
top 10.
yeah.
Um, the funny thing is, when he sent that email, I thought that the point of discussion would be about whether or not males in general should take females' names in general. Never even addressed that. That wasn't even important in relation to that conversation.
I mean, I'm all fine there. Like if his name, I'm trying to think of what his name would have had to have been. Like if it was Noah Hitler, would would you have felt different?
Um, yeah, there's no way you can rebrand Hitler. You got to change
Yeah,
your name.
yeah. So
Like you talk about Xavier Huxtable and the dangers he faces, but that is a little more of a tenuous connection, you know?
sure,
Like he can rebrand Huxtable kind of.
sure.
Hitler, you can't rebrand.
Well, and Cliff Huxtable also wasn't drugging women and sleeping with them. That was Bill Cosby was doing that, but Cliff Huxtable wasn't.
True. Yeah.
Could you rename, could you rebrand? I mean, there's a lot of Epsteins out there.
See, that's the thing is it's Ebsworthy isn't that common.
Eh,
Epstein is so common that Jeffrey didn't do enough harm for a long enough period of time to really taint the whole name. There's too many other
he
Epstein.
really did though put a couple cracks in Epstein. Like for sure, anytime somebody
Temporary.
meets an Epstein, it's gonna ding, like Jeffrey Epstein will like pop through their brain real quick.
Temporarily. In 20 years from now, people won't remember.
That's true. Uh,
So so I had another thought reading this, which was it's still okay to make fun of the stereotype of Australians being
Drunk
drunk or
convicts.
criminals. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like all other cultures, you're not allowed, almost all other cultures, you're not allowed to make fun of the stereotype anymore. Aussies are perpetuating it, and maybe not in action, but at least in their own joking.
I mean, I think they are, but I think it's true in Australia, right? Like it's just a fact. They were either, I mean, yeah, great book if anyone out there wants to read about the founding of Australia. It's called The Fatal Shore. Derek Riley turned me onto this one, and it is phenomenal, well written. But the founding of Australia, it really, I mean, it was petty thieves, prostitutes, and the jail guards who got sent there. And the jail guards who got sent there were like the worst of the jail guards, right? Like, not, I don't think in terms of violence and stuff, but just in terms of they were crap. Obviously, nobody wanted to leave their family and go to this jail colony. Nobody, it wasn't Australia back then. Like, it was a penal colony at the end of the world. Uh, and that's Australia. It just is
which
what it is.
which makes it even more interesting that his grandmother went at the age of 16.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to uproot and start a new life, Australia was much more close to the origin back then than it, now we forget about that origin and it's a beautiful place and everybody wants to go. But back then,
It
like
was still a
uproot
lot
everything
bad.
and go to the penal colony?
I mean, because okay, so grandma would have been, when did Australia get really, it was like mid 1800s or something? When did the first, you're gonna have to get on the Google here. When did the first
Oh,
ship?
that guy's name was Huell Hauser, by the way.
Oh, Heelhauser. Yeah, 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 yeah. Heelhauser was good. Uh yeah, when was the first ship sent from jolly old England to Australia with a bunch of prisoners aboard?
Well, I just Googled when did Australia get colonized? Is that the right question?
Good enough.
Australia's colonization by Great Britain began with the establishment of the New South Wales colony in 1788 when the first fleet of British ships arrived at Botany Bay and established a penal colony.
Okay, so 1788, but the first one failed. I think everybody died for a couple times. So let's say early 1800s by the time it finally established. So
Well, it says James Cook claimed the eastern coast in 1770, but the colony was formally proclaimed at Sydney in 1788.
yeah, but there was many failures before it took
Okay.
hold. So I'm going to say
Okay.
early 1800s, which means if Noah Ebsworthy is having his first kid right now, let's say Noah Ebsworthy is 34.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So that means Noah Ebsworthy's grandma
No,
is,
it's his dad's grandma.
oh,
So it's
dad's
Noah's
grandma.
great grandma.
Wow. Yeah. So
She
1850.
was there early days.
It's early days. It's like Australia there was still probably some convicts, some people, or definitely there would have been convicts who got sent to Australia as prisoners alive when old, but still alive when Noah Ebsworthy's great grandma went to Australia.
What was Granny up to?
Ooh, we need more, Noah.
Granny.
What was Granny up to? Why did Granny get sent? Do you know legitimately how Sydney got founded? Or
No.
uh, so they sent the jail ships out there. There was one of a bunch of pickpockety dudes. There was one of prostitutes. Uh, there was a storm, I think, so everybody had to go on shore, and there was like a 4-day orgy, and that's the founding of Sydney. Yeah, they were all like starving and whatever. They've been at sea forever. They were prisoners and all of it, and they just went to town for days.
Um, that there's lots of groupings of people that get together that don't have an orgy. I'm curious what was the impetus of this orgy, especially if you're starving and
Yeah.
like out of energy.
I mean, could have
Maybe
been
just one last hurrah, like we're all
who
gonna die
knows?
anyways.
Maybe. P. Diddy might have been there.
How do you verify this fact, by the way?
It's in the Fatal Shore.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Australia's wild. Granny was
Wild
wild.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, what was Granny up to could be a new segment of the show.
Ooh, that is a great one. That was it. Yeah. If you have any granny moving somewhere, leaving everything behind, send it on in.
Uh, there's like there was a show about celebrities who do the DNA test and go to the small town to find out like the origins of their story. I don't know what that show is called. It should have been called What Was Granny
What was
Doing?
Granny?
What was Granny up to? That'd be a much better title.
Very funny.
Okay. Let's go to commercial break. We will then be back with Barrel or Not. All right, we're back, Chaz.
Fine show today.
All right, man. Barrel or Nah. Breakaway pants.
Uh,
This, I don't see breakaway pants anymore, but when I was growing up, they were like the exclamation point on the end of a beach grit headline, where if somebody wanted to make a point, it's like they were either joining the basketball game or they got on stage and it was a tuxedo, but they're going to put on a dance. So, boom, the tuxedo comes off. It is a real exclamation point.
okay, I thought you were saying zip off pants initially, like the pants that
Oh,
turn into shorts. That's not what we're talking
oh,
about. We're talking about boom breakaway pants.
the old school breakaways.
Yeah, barrel, barrel. Like nobody in breakaway pants is not getting up to something as soon as those pants break away. You're either a male stripper or you are a basketball star or like whatever is going to happen after that, those pants get ripped off is going to be exciting. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be exciting.
I think they need to make a comeback.
Definitely. Did you ever
This,
have a pair as a kid?
dude, I was not bold enough to have a pair. I thought about it. I fantasized about a world where I could be that guy. I just wasn't that guy. But now I'm realizing I've missed my opportunity and I kind of want to go back.
You can. You fully can. Go get a pair of breakaway pants.
I mean, the ones that I'd see kids wearing at school, I think, were like Adidas. And they had
Yeah,
like the buttons down the side,
of
right in
course.
in the seam of the Adidas like strip or stripe.
Now that I think about it, because that was common in school growing up. How did nobody ever get those pants ripped off by somebody? How did bull? I never saw anyone like I had a pair of those breakaway pants playing basketball in high school. I had a pair, I think a Chicago Bulls pair of branded ones that I wore around. Some bully should have fully come up to me, grabbed my waistband, and yoink, broken away my pants. Right? You're asking for it if you wear them to school.
Especially in a time and era where pantsing people was
A
commonplace.
thing. I mean, that was pantsing somebody would barely get you a slap on the wrist from principal.
Not, yeah, not even. It was like, don't do that, kids.
Yeah,
And you
knock it
immediately
off.
do it again.
Yeah, totally. No, that's shocking to me. I would like stories if anyone ever wore a breakaway pant to school and got it ripped right off. And if you were prepared for it, if you knew it might happen, so wearing shorts underneath.
Yeah. But so the other night when we were at that We Are Ocean event, um, we were talking to Josh Martin, and Josh Martin had the idea for puffer pants. He was like, man, it's cold out here. You see people wearing puffer jackets. Why aren't there puffer pants? And I think that's what planted the seed. I don't know why. A couple days later, I started thinking about it and I was like, the breakaway pant, like you said, if you put it on, you meant business. There was
Yeah,
something that was going to happen later. This is a temporary look, and it is going to be the ultimate, like, kind of baller move reveal of my next move.
yeah,
And I'm like, there aren't a lot of clothing that make a statement like that.
totally. I suppose though we can't dummy down the statement of the breakaway pant. If you're going to wear your breakaway pant and just wear it around all day and then take it off at night, no, when you put on your breakaway pant, you have to be prepared to break it away.
Even at night when you go to take them off, you can't slide them off like regular pant. You
Break
have to do
away.
some sort of a show for your wife
Exactly.
or whoever.
Bring them back. I'm all barrel on
Okay,
breakaways.
cool. Breakaway pants, bring
Barrel.
them. Any surf brands listening to the convo, get on this.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
Barrel or Not number two is going to come from a listener, and it is related to Yago Dora and I believe the recent Bells event.
All right, barrel or nah, obvious. It's a nah. The heart symbol that Yago just put up after losing a heat. That stupid fucking heart symbol that people put up
Yeah.
with their hands. Gotta be a nah barrel. Gotta be nah. Discuss.
I mean, there are certain things that become so commonplace in culture. You just feel a repulsion against it.
I'm a full nah barrel, and I don't to this day. And listener, please explain it to me because I do not understand it. Definitely no barrel on the heart thing. I am no barrel when dudes take pictures and do this, right? The sideways peace sign pointing, or pointing at the guy you're next with. You don't need to point at the dude, right? Like the any kind of finger symbol. I again, I didn't grow up in an era when men made hand signs, but I do not understand why when a camera comes out, the compulsion to I got to do something with my hands is hands are awkward in a picture. Maybe I get it, but that's what they are. They're just awkward. Just either put them behind your back, put them in your pocket, hang them at your sides. Like, don't do symbols with your hands, please. It's like Yagodora doing a heart symbol is clearly bad. Any of them are bad.
Yeah. This one comes, for me, this one hits just because when something becomes so popular so quickly, I just feel a certain
Yeah, of course.
revulsion towards it or
It's gross.
repulsion against. Yeah. So,
You're like seeing when you hop on a trend that's at peak trend already,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
you show yourself as a straight up joiner and follower. Like
Yeah.
you are one that goes along with the crowd.
Yeah. Sorry, Yago, but you just got downgraded. I loved you up
Yeah.
until I learned this fact, and now you just got downgraded a little bit.
Sorry, Yago. You're just you go along with the crowd. Whatever's in, you're right there next to it. If all your friends jumped off a cliff, you would too.
Try harder.
Yeah.
Try harder at Burley.
Yeah.
Um, okay, final barrel or nah. This one comes from Nick Carroll, actually.
Mm.
Um,
Does it literally,
it
or is
does,
it
yeah.
inspired by Nick Carroll?
Nick mentioned it to me. He didn't submit it for barrel or not, but he mentioned it to me. And that is calling yourself a storyteller.
Zero barrel. Ooh, was this related to Sam George in your conversation there? Did Sam George
No,
call
no.
himself a storyteller?
No, he just said it kind of in passing. He was just like, God, I hate when people call themselves a storyteller.
It's awful. It is absolutely awful. I hate it most. Like it is so pretentious and dumb. Like when people put it in their bio,
Yeah.
like with a whatever, it's awful. It's stupid. It is maybe factually true. You may be a film director or writer or whatever, but storyteller is too broad and it's too pretentious. Get rid of it entirely.
I feel that way about artists too. Like, be specific. So
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
you
a
are a writer or director and you wrote storyteller in your bio, just say director.
yeah. Say what you do.
And if you make a living as an artist, say what type,
Yeah,
painter, musician, whatever.
fine artist. Yeah,
Because because I, as the viewer, will determine whether it's art.
exactly. You can't self-brand. Same with the storyteller. I will
Yeah,
determine if
exactly.
you're telling a story. Like
Exactly.
just because you're telling one doesn't make you a storyteller.
Exactly.
You have to be
But
telling us.
people who take tremendous pride in that idea of like I am a crafter of stories
Yeah,
is also a little off-putting. Like I can't imagine Ernest Hemingway referring to him as that way. I
no,
can't imagine Stephen King referring to himself that way.
no. It's
He's like, I've
embarrassing.
written a bunch of books, it's super hard and I work really hard at it and sometimes they come together, you know.
If dear listener, you have storyteller or artist in your bio anywhere, do yourself a favor and specify what are you actually.
I like it. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks Nick Carroll.
yeah, thanks Nick.
Something that just kind of was always in the back
Irks.
of my mind as being annoying, but I never really quite identified it until the words escaped his mouth.
We needed storyteller Nick Carroll to tell us.
Exactly. An actual storyteller who doesn't refer to himself as a storyteller.
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, great show. And listeners, man, if you want more, come over to Patreon right now. Chaz and I are going to bang out a bonus episode right now. And if you want that, you got to go over to Patreon.
Please join us. It's filled with things that are rated NC-17. Whatever happened to the NC-17 rating? You don't see that one much anymore.
I mean, does the rating system still exist?
It does, but NC-17, I remember the film that would come out every once in a while growing up, right? That
Yeah,
would
yeah.
just thinking, wow, that thing is worse than R somehow. But it's not X, but it's
What?
worse. It's between X and R.
Can you remember the films or any of them that were rated?
No, but I remember seeing it and thinking, wow, that's something.
So I remember, I want to say Sex Lies in a Videotape.
Okay, was that NC-17?
Do you remember that movie?
Of course. I never saw it, but remember it.
Yeah, I can't think of who the filmmaker was. But that I feel like had an NC-17 version, and maybe
Yeah,
they then recut a different version to get like PG-13.
R
And
probably.
oh, right, R, sorry.
Yeah.
And then Madonna made a movie. I think it was a documentary. What was that one called? Truth or Dare?
Truth or Dare, yes.
Truth or Dare.
You're right. That was NC-17.
Because I remember that hit. I was probably 13 or something at the time, and it was at our local video store, and I was like, will this guy rent me this? I want to see. I've heard that it's like salacious, and I'm titillated by the idea. I want to check this out. I don't think I ever saw it.
I never really pondered this as deeply before, but isn't R you're not allowed to go to unless you're 18 by
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah.
So I was NC-17. You can get it when you're 17.
No, 17, the NC-17 you're not allowed to go to even with a parent unless
Yeah,
you're over 17.
okay.
Or
So,
you can go to with a parent.
well, why wasn't NC-18? Why did they drop it down to 17?
I don't know. What is the NC? Also, like those letters and numbers don't make any sense. They're not just A through F or
Yeah.
1 through 5 or whatever. Why are they so odd?
G, yeah, because G is general audience, PG is parental guidance, PG-13 is parental guidance, 13 recommended. Uh, I don't know why. Oh, R is restricted. Uh, and I don't know what the NC is.
It was like they came up with the categories and then decided rather than giving like a name to each
We're
category,
just
let's
gonna
just
give the
go with the category name. Like they
yeah,
should have just tried a little bit harder.
should have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, glad we got to the bottom of that one. Let's go over to Patreon, and thanks everybody for listening. Until next week.
Keep working.